Hey guys, Barney and Anton here from Anton Nutrition, and today I'm going to be giving you my 3 tips to bear in mind when next selecting your protein sources. Following these tips will help you make better choices for your protein sources and help you avoid food choices that aren't necessarily the best. So, tip number 1 considers biological availability. Biological availability is basically a scale rating the body's ability to absorb protein from the food source. Our digestive system is better able to absorb the protein content of some sources compared to others. The biological availability index uses a whole egg as a reference value and gives that a score of 100. There are some protein sources that have a score higher than 100, and these are most notably whey protein sources. Typically your whey protein isolates are going to be higher. There are also some whole food choices that are pretty high on the index, and these include milk, chicken, beef and fish. There are some other sources such as nuts and grains which are pretty low down on the index, and that's because they're not what we call complete proteins. Tip number 2 is to consider the amino acid profile of the food source. More specifically, we need to look at the composition of essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are those that the body cannot produce itself, and so we have to source them from the diet. These include the branched chain amino acids, isoleucine, leucine and valine. These amino acids in particular are very important for athletes because they make up a significant portion of muscle tissue and so are critically important for muscle recovery and growth. Some items that are great sources of essential amino acids include meats, eggs and soy. And finally, tip number 3 is to consider the fat content of your protein source. Now there's a couple of items I've mentioned a few times in this video, most notably meat and eggs. These are not exclusively protein sources, they actually have a significant content of fat as well. Now this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's important for cardiorespiratory health that we try and limit our intake of saturated fats in favour of unsaturated fats. It's therefore suggested we cut down on our meat consumption and replace them for items that are maybe sources of unsaturated fats, such as oily fish like salmon. Another point that tags along to this third tip of fat content is that at certain times of the day we might not necessarily want to be consuming fat with our protein, so that most notably would include pre-training and post-training. In these situations it's important to select protein sources that are low in fat, such as chicken breast or whey protein. So those are my tips for when you're next selecting your protein sources. Have a look online or consult a nutritionist to find protein sources that 1. Have a high biological availability, 2. Have a good amino acid profile and are full of essential amino acids, and 3. Have the right amount of fat for your needs and the right types of fat for optimal cardiorespiratory health. So that's everything for today guys, I hope it's been helpful. In the next video we're going to be looking at my 3 tips for selecting fat sources.